This is the Lean Builders Hoots on the Ground podcast with absolutely, positively no bullshito. Join us as we dig into exactly what lean construction is and how we can use these concepts and strategies in the field. This podcast will be different as we take this journey to the field office and are able to pass forward building knowledge from those who have put their time in to learn about. What's up, y'all? Adam Hoots here, the Lean Builder podcast. Sitting down with John Burleson with Robins Morton. He had me on the job site this morning out here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. We walked the Wofford softball complex, and it has been some challenges, but we're here to highlight John, Robins Morton, all the lean things they got going on this job site, and spread the word and help folks really know and learn and get better from this experience. And so I'm excited to put some of the photos I took of some of the office space that they've created, both at the job site level as well as out at the project level. I want to dive in there, but first, I guess, John, can you just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, maybe your lean journey, kind of what got you to the seat you're in today?
Absolutely. John Burleson, a superintendent with Robins Morton, coming up on 14 years. And we're working out here at Wofford, and we've been out here for a while. And as far as my lean journey, probably started about 7 years ago with really a kind of a failed experience.
Mine too. That's funny.
That's funny. I sat through a training class, and it all sounded great, and I was ready to go implement it. And I got out there and I tried, and didn't really have knowledge of all the stuff that I needed to put together, but really didn't have the support. And so now come along from that, that one failed. We didn't really have the team involvement and the support there, but we moved up to Spartanburg in 2015 and started the AC Hotel, and had a lot of success with lean there and in our building forward program, and saw a lot of the value. And every project since then, I've seen and learned a little bit more, and really learned probably the most that if you don't have the culture and you're not creating the culture on the job site with the trade partners, with the architects and engineers and the owners, and you're not cultivating the culture and the collaboration and that nature, then all the tools and all the other stuff that you're doing, you may get some value out of it, but you're not going to get it's not going to reach its potential. And so that's one of the things that I've noticed over the last few years is just, having that culture and having that be the base of it, and then going from there. And it really does go back to, you have to care about the people and the producers and the project as a whole. And then you can start to align everybody together behind the same goals.
You started figuring this out at the AC Hotel, and then is this the softball project is your next job after the AC Hotel, or was there a stop?
So we went from the AC Hotel, and then we started a series of projects here at Wofford. We started residence hall, a library renovation, and then also the environmental studies. We were able to see all those varying, one's renovations, one new construction.
All of them, would you say?
We applied lean to all of them. Not necessarily everything worked on one that would work on another.
Absolutely.
We had cross-contamination of trade partners. Obviously, the owner and architects were basically the same, but we had different team members there. We could gauge and make sure that the culture was working right. The jobs that always had the best culture had the best success.
Interesting.
And then we finished up those projects at the end of 2020 or August of 2020. And
tough time to finish a job, huh?
It was difficult, and honestly, I can attribute everything to the trade partners and the folks that we worked with, but the principles and the culture that we had on those job sites, I don't think we would have been able to do it had it not been for that. But we finished on time, all those projects on time, and left the owner very happy with that in the middle of a pandemic when everybody's just running around like chickens with their heads cut off trying to figure out what the next thing is.
Yeah, they got every excuse in the world not to finish a job. Here you are finishing on time despite the additional challenges and variation. That's awesome. I'm going to signpost this for you, but you mentioned a few words that I just can't stand. Okay. The word lean, I think, is one that I've tossed out there a lot. I just can't stand it. But you also said learn, which I think is really what lean is about. When you add the R in there,
right in the middle, like it makes the world of difference. And that's what it's about, learning and getting better from job to job.
Right.
And clearly you're doing that if you're here at Wofford, repeating, clients, etc. Another word you said was culture, which that just like, Jen Lacey will tell you I can't stand that word. That's all. Jen Lacey, she reminds me of Marsha Brady. She goes, culture, 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 like always, right? And so I think my displeasure for the word is really comes from a lack of understanding, especially from a construction mindset, because you said the word care. And it's like, okay, how much care, how much compassion do we really have in this business? Those are a couple words that, so I'll just signpost. I'm going to look for maybe at the end a word that kind of like just drives you nuts. But you also mentioned building forward. And so I think that's a Robins and Morton specific thing. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means and the evolution or where we are right now with?
I may have some of this wrong because I wasn't involved in all the projects, but we've done several lean projects. We probably started, say, maybe 2010, and we started getting exposure to lean. And then we realized as we progressed and we've implemented from, one project to, maybe 3 projects to 5 to 10 to now we're trying to implement it on all of them, is that building forward is our own version of that. I think that's something that's really important, and you can get bogged down in the jargons and you can say lean and everybody just turns off and is like, I don't need anything to do with that. But everyone has to make it their own. And when they make it their own, then they can, they have a common ground that they can work around.
You're creating it as a team.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And kind of going back to the care, and you have to, if you have the common goals of caring about the project, caring about its impact, whether it's for the community or for the owner or the client, and then you've got the care of for and with the trade partners. Like I want to have successful trade partners. If the trade partners are successful, then I'm probably going to be pretty successful too.
Yeah.
And the project's going to be successful. And the successful can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It's important that you get everybody kind of in the same room at the early stage of the job to identify what success is for that individual, for that company.
So building forward is kind of an alignment of successes, or seems like so much more than that.
We try to focus on creating a learning environment.
Okay.
So we want to, plan, do, study, act.
Yeah. Or check, adjust, or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Whatever the
jargon you
is.
subscribe to, right?
But so we want to create a learning environment, a center for collaboration, and we want to have just the ability to have the culture that encourages involvement, and that is, we were having a conversation earlier and you're like, hey man, you got some donut right there.
Yeah.
Having that ability to just be like, hey man, no big deal. This is what's going on.
I don't want anybody else to see that.
Yeah. I'm highlighting what's going on that you may not see.
Yeah.
And so creating that environment, and we're always trying to continuously improve. That's where all of it really ties together. Is I want to do better tomorrow than I did today. But in order to do that, I need to know and be able to track and see what I did yesterday. It's a constant adjustment, and you're just trying to always do better. And when you take it, I learned about it through Robins Morton and at work, and then I try to implement it at home. There's a lot of stuff where it's like, I'm trying to teach my kids is like, well, we did this here, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that, but we could do better.
Absolutely.
And we can learn, it's just like school, you learn your times tables and, all right, now I've learned 3, now I need 4, 5, 6. Like we're constantly needing to get better. And if we do, life gets easier, work-life balance gets better on a successful project. Place. Yeah. There's, guys, I've been on projects where, guys not going to create an 8th day just because your project's behind.
Even though you're praying.
Yeah. Like it's just not going to happen. And so you just try to plan around that stuff and continuously get better.
Yeah, I like it. I appreciate it. It reminds me of, and again, I'm kind of approaching this like new coaching consulting world.
Right.
And there's a book called This Is Lean by Nicholas Modig, and he tells the story of Obasan. And Obasan is like this consultant, Japanese guy who, man, he can tell you whether you're lean or not, right?
Right.
And so he shows up to this manufacturing plant one day, and they're like, Obasan, we're so happy you're here. Like, look at all this lean stuff. Like, look at our boards and look at our Connex, which I want to hit the Connex too.
Yeah.
And you know, he's like, oh, this is good. This is good. And they said, are we lean, Obasan? And Obasan looked around and he's like, I do not know yet. And so he continued his tour, and he's going through the job at the plant and looking at manufacturing bits and pieces, and come to the end of the day, right? And Ubasan's sitting there, and they're like, Ubasan, we have paid you so much money to come here and tell us if we're lean. And he looked around and he's just like, I cannot tell you. I was not here yesterday. And so that's the whole point, is like, if you're lean, you're getting better, you're improving. That's all it means, is we're learning from our experience. Yeah, I think that's huge, as we try and break this thing down into like, how are we actually using it at the job site level? And then I love how you went even a layer deeper. Like, how can I use this in my home life? And how can I just have this life balance? It's not even work and life, but it's just, hey, this is my life. And this is how I'm balancing it. And if I need to go and at 11 a.m. and pick my kid up from school because they've got, you know, runny nose or whatever, my team's going to have my back, and they're going to support that because they know I'll be here at 9 o'clock on a Friday if needed. And I think a lot of that, you know, we're still kind of describing building forward, right? We're continuously looking, we're learning from the past, but we're building on our capabilities moving forward as well. I love that. I've had the privilege to walk the job site today. Super impressive. I love, thank you. I mean, again, just like walking the field office that we're in right now. Can you take us through kind of the, I would say just, I'll call it the Connex box, the boxes, but can you just take us through maybe the evolution of that, or what you're using them for? Just talk a little bit about kind of the digs we're sitting in and what I saw earlier.
One of the things, and we've advanced it over the years and just continuously improved it, honestly. But we started with this. It's a 40-foot Connex.
It's a shipping container.
Yeah, it's a shipping container. We built it out. We've got about 20 feet or so, maybe a little less on that side, but of office with room for 3 guys and a printer. We had the daily stand-up boards in here. And then we bring everybody in from the field to this point because the office was off-site, and so it wasn't conducive. You know, the more you're pulling the people who are your production managers and your safety guys and the guys that are running the work, the last planners, the more you're pulling them away from work, the less they're going to be productive, the less involvement they're going to have.
Quality, safety.
Yeah. So all that stuff goes down when they're not there. That's why it's important for us to keep them there and keep the meetings to a concise time period, and then get the meeting close to them. And we've seen benefits in that. And so we've got this here. As COVID developed, we were able to adapt. And so we're like, well, we can't put everybody in the Connex. We gotta get out. We gotta get closer to where the work is and get it more open. And so we've developed a 20-foot storage container Connex, and we put garage doors on it and have that. And we have got that actually out on site. I think Adam's got a photo of it, but we've got the ability to, we've got a computer, we've got a Wi-Fi connection, we've got the ability to pull up the plans and the RFIs, submittals, all that right there on the screen, and have it open and available as like an open computer space for somebody that needs to do it. If they, you know, need to, maybe their company's iPad doesn't have a wireless connection, and they need to use our wireless connection so that they can download the latest emails or RFIs or whatever it is, get the latest drawings, and getting that closer to the work. We've seen just a lot of value in that.
Absolutely. And so when I walk through I call it the open Connex, I guess, the planning, maybe the make work ready is probably the best official term. In fact, here, I actually got the picture. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up so the folks who are watching this can actually see what we're talking about here. But as you walk up, and again, this is right next to the softball stadium here. As you walk up, you see safety expectations are aligned. You walk in, you've got a little spot for a TV over here. You've got your PPC board down here. You've got an inspection log. I think this was a roadblock or constraint log.
Yeah, constraint, and then
material deliveries. Yeah. And you got your weekly work plans here. You got some images on the wall. I mean, this is like everything you need in a 20-foot Connex
Yeah.
to be able to run a lean project, right?
Yeah.
You get the team to gather around here. You know, maybe the 2 or 3 folks are in the trailer, kind of.
Yeah. So we'll have a crowd of how many folks necessary, kind of huddling around the outside, and then have 2 or 3 people inside, really facilitating the meeting, and the trade partner, whoever we're talking about with that activity, kind of filling out the manpower and telling us what certain constraints they have, or deliveries that they've got, or inspections that they need scheduled. We also go through safety. If there's going to be a crane setup on site today, or any special safety items that we need to be more focused on, like if we've recently seen a increase in cords damaged, or identified some broken ground prongs or something like that, we can highlight that as like, hey, we've seen that we're not inspecting our cords, or having a failure there. We're highlighting that, not to cast blame or anything like that, but just to say, hey, let's be a little more diligent in checking this.
Absolutely. We want to share what are the common issues that we're finding, so that people can be on the lookout, right? So we can correct those things, we can call attention to them as soon as they're recognized.
Right.
No, I agree tremendously. I love it. I've been on a lot of projects, especially the last couple of months, and I have yet to see anything like that. Very impressive. I like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, we got to get on a podcast. We got to get this out to the world, because people need to see. You got a couple of BIM boxes out here.
Right.
And I think people have seen those before,
Right.
but it's a lot of the same concept, right? It's instead of a BIM box, I would call it a lean box, or a learn box, or I mean, that's where you're gathering the information from a production standpoint, and you're like, why did my plan fail? And then how are we going to get it back on? What are the constraints that are holding us? Are there delivery? Like, everything you need is right there in that box. Super impressive. And again, I thank you. I mean, how many of your job sites have these, would you say?
I think we've got another project down in Florida right now that's taken the kind of the same template and has applied it to a 40-foot container. I can see these being used on, you know, small renovations, or whether it be a hospital renovation or something like that. And it's a little bit easier to move a 20-foot Connex around. We're trying to implement these kind of all over, because there is that value in the closer you get it to the last planner, the better engagement and value you're going to see in those meetings.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get them closer to their comfort zone. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. What else? Any thoughts, any other tips, tricks, things like what you got, the lean box, if you will? What other things are you doing here that just promote?
One of the things I've learned as a superintendent is, when I was coming up, I remember the superintendent, and maybe this is just the perception I had of him, but it was kind of the perception on the job site was the superintendent has all the answers and has all the knowledge. And what I realized very quickly as I've come up in the industry is that I don't have all the answers, and I certainly don't have all the knowledge, but
you know who does.
Yeah. But I know the people to go to.
Yeah.
And being humble enough to say, I don't know, but I'm going to go find out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, making sure that you do follow up on that and find out what the answer is, and being a lot more of a team than, you know, a star player or something like that, man. Anything that we've had successes in that I've been a part of has been the team success, not because I did anything magnificent.
Absolutely. Well, I think, you know, what you just said is one of the key parts, right? We do a lot of this collaboration, a lot of like culture building, as you called it, to get people to speak up and speak their mind. And what ends up happening is, you know, the electrician doesn't come to the superintendent to say, hey, I need that lift, the HVAC guy's lift move.
Yeah.
No, he goes straight to the HVAC because they've built that level of trust. They can have that healthy conflict. We're kind of stumbling on something here of, you know, the mentality of a superintendent used to be, I have to have all the answers, which means I have to go coordinate this person, that person, this person, like I gotta like do this, and the stress and wear that has on somebody's, and not just physical but emotional well-being,
create a lot of burnout.
Versus, hey, I'm gonna have all of my trade partners come to my daily huddle, and we're just going to have open conversation where we're coordinating and ironing out all of these little bits and pieces, where it used to be superintendent goes here, and I'm just updating. By the time I get all the way around, now I got to update this person on what I just, and it's like a never ending cycle, versus having everybody flocked to the superintendent, and now it's like, okay, let's talk, and then everybody has all the information. Daily huddles, is that something y'all do on site?
We will meet, and that's one thing where we've seen success in that too, is like, once you get your team together, when do you guys want to have this meeting? Not just saying, right, oh, we're doing it at 8 a.m. Well, maybe they start at 6:30 and then you're changing their path at 8. There's a whole lot of waste there. So, we've done it 7:15, we've done it 7:30, really leaving it up to the guys on the job site. Is like, when does this meeting work best for everyone?
I love that.
And then, but we'll do that. And you almost need somebody kind of watching the clock, because you can have somebody kind of dive off into like, oh, we're going to go solve this problem. No. Let's keep this thing flowing. Let's be respectful of everybody's time. And we can do a sidebar on that right after. Like that.
Have you ever heard of Elmo before? Some people on job sites will have a little Elmo doll, and the person, there's always one or two that just like go deep into that rabbit hole. It's a nice little soft plush Elmo, and you take the Elmo and throw it at them. And Elmo stands for enough, let's move on. That's an acronym.
I like it.
And so that, and or having a parking lot or a parking garage for some people, so where you could just like throw up the idea so you don't lose it. They feel respected and heard. But it's like, man, we got 15, 20 minutes. We got to focus to get people to work.
You need somebody that is facilitating the meeting, and then you need somebody who's kind of keeping the facilitator on point.
Yeah, and I've actually seen, it might be right here in here, but you've got like stopwatches or clocks, and is that for meetings? Okay.
That way we're just trying to be respectful of everybody's time, because that's going to, if we're respectful of their time, then that's going to encourage engagement and buy-in.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're building trust.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I'm picking up on a little bit of a common theme as we talk, and I talk about it a lot too, but I think you're a great example of it. We're not implementing these lean things. We are, we have a toolbox of a bunch of lean tools and processes, but we're understanding, at least on this job site specifically, we're understanding what do the people need and how are we bringing them tools that will feed the people. We're not implementing this lean stuff. It's like, all right, where are we at as a team, and what do we need to create to make us more productive, see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group. So one
thing that, kind of going back to my experience, is when we started implementing some of this stuff at the AC Hotel, and we had the back and we had the sport, we had everything. I wanted to do everything. I want to do that. 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 And the problem is, I don't know enough about it to do all that. And if I'm doing all this, then I'm probably not doing some of my other stuff that I'm supposed to be, like, I'm really responsible for over here. And then we're going to start it, and we're not going to be able to sustain it. It's not good for anybody. And so take baby steps into this. Like, if this is your first time ever hearing any of this stuff, or you haven't implemented it before or created it, just make sure that you're, take baby steps with it, maybe 1 or 2 items. And then when those things are running good and you've got it sustained, then add some more and advance. But you don't want to become so driven on like, well, I'm implementing 15 tools and this guy's only implementing 3.
I'm leaner.
Well, maybe he's doing a better job at his 3 than you are at your 15.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, limit your work in progress. Limit your lean tools in progress. Yeah. I've got a graph that I did that I talk about small J changes. Yeah. And so you think about productivity, and I'm just going to kind of draw this for the folks watching, but productivity, as you go through experience, you gradually get better at what you do. So it's this nice, line kind of at a 45 going up. Well, when you introduce changes to your normal routine, your productivity drops. Right. If your productivity drops too much, what I call a big J, right? Because now we're dropping, it will increase because you're getting that experience. If your change is too much at one time, too profound, then people are like, this doesn't work. I've lost too much productivity. I'm going back to my old way. Yeah. Versus if, like you're saying, we introduce small changes, small batches, and it's like, okay, their productivity drops a little bit, inevitably, but then immediately they see the results and they're like, wow, this works. Yeah. And now I have more time to insert my next smaller change versus, so, and I'm going to razz you a little bit because the first question I asked you before we did this was, have you read the book, The Lean Builder? And your answer was?
I have not.
But
I do have a copy.
Yeah,
I've got a couple of days off.
Well, I would really encourage you to, because Keon and Joe took that same exact approach with the last planner system.
Yeah.
How do you implement the last planner as a whole? And it's not go out there and start keeping track of activities and get your weekly work plan and what's your PPC and where's your daily huddle and where are your visuals. It's not like that. It's a novel format that tells a story, and it introduces small changes like, hey, just try this week, and then just try this the next week, and you can start at any point, and then slowly get your job moving in last planner system type of way. Everybody does last planner different. There is one way that LCI has copyright, trademark, etc. I can tell you personally, I've never done it that way. I always, like you said, create it for the team, and what does the team need in that given moment. And so I thank you for letting me harass you a little bit and challenge you to go read the book. I just walking the job today, it's clear that you guys are doing some amazing lean things, and that you have a lot to offer the industry, and that we need to bring more people through these Connex boxes, these lean boxes. You need a cool name for them. What are we going to call them?
So this one's been nicknamed the Lean Machine.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
But
it's not, there's no signs though. We got to make
there's no signs.
We got to claim that. That's
yeah.
cool. What about the box out there? Oh yeah, it does have a name.
So we call that one the banana stand, and that just came up. The guys in the field were like, "What do you want to call this thing?" Let's call it the banana stand. All right, that's what you want to call it.
When I first heard that, I was like, banana stand. I don't know. That doesn't sound very good, but it makes sense when you go look at it. And it's like on the side of the road. It's a fruit produce stand almost.
Roll the garage doors.
One way in, one way out. Yeah, garage doors on a Connex. Who would have thought that would be lean? But there's definitely some learning going on in those boxes. There's no question. So we're coming to the end. We're wrapping up. Any last thoughts before I pull out that sign again of what is the word that it just drives you nuts or irks you?
Not necessarily lean related, but I can't.
I can't. Okay. Why?
Because a lot of people will throw that out before they've tried. And so very rarely you actually can't. It just takes a lot of want to.
Willpower.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like that. I hear some people say the problem is, and when you hear that's an I can't statement as well, right? The word try also gets me. That's one thing. I think Tony Robbins, Jason Schroeder turned me on that. Try is not a word. You either do or you don't. You're not trying anything. We are doing it. It's all the mindset. And I think that's a lot with the can't word too. If I think I can. I think there was a little train TV cartoon. Thomas.
Religion that could.
I love it. Cool. Well, I appreciate you allowing me. This is your first podcast too, right?
It is.
You killed it. You did great. I love it. We're definitely going to get you back on
Get outside of your comfort zone.
Hey, are you a little outside of your comfort zone?
I'm outside of my comfort zone.
Good, man. I love that. That means we're learning, we're growing, and we're happy. Like we're doing it together. It's a safe environment, clearly, because you were vulnerable in this conversation too. Again, the things you're doing are amazing, and we've got to highlight them, and we've got to get them out to more people, because the suicide rates and the divorce rates and the stress, like all that is unacceptable right now in construction. And the things that you're doing here on this job, it's clear that it is impacting those rates, at least from my eyes. So thank you for that. Thank you for being a leader in our industry. That's much needed. And I'll probably throw your contact information if anybody wants to reach out, say hi.
Reach out. And coordinate visits or conversations.
Absolutely. Come to our South Carolina Lean Coffees.
Absolutely.
We are establishing a community of interest for LCI here in South Carolina. We had some great meetings this morning, and trying to just, again, inspire our community, understand where we are from a maturity level, and optimize the whole, as we talked about this morning. With that, anything you want to leave the listeners with on an outro here?
If you're intrigued by any of this stuff, get involved. And we came out with a shirt a few years ago, and on the back of it, it said, because I wanted to. Because a lot of this stuff is, you're not doing it because somebody's telling you to. If you're doing it because somebody's just telling you to do it, you're probably doing it for the wrong reason.
It's going to fail.
But you've got to want to do it. And the benefits are there, and they're proven.
And they're sustainable. They last.
I couldn't imagine doing it a different way. The old way was awful. I don't want to go back. I don't want to backtrack.
Cool. Thanks for having us. I appreciate it, John. John B, Robins and Morton, building forward, learning together. That's how lean builders do.